What's up, legends? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're back on Black Ops 6 Zombies. We're jumping into Liberty Falls, and I want to dive into a hot topic within the Zombies community, the starting pistol versus loadouts. Now, in order to do this, I wanted to jump in with some B-roll, obviously, and I started with a 9mm PM with no attachments. It's the weapon that they start you off when you first start up the game. Obviously, with the loadouts, I still get to choose what weapon I have, so I did get to choose this pistol, but essentially I wanted to dive in and play as if I don't have access to loadouts while we discuss the topic. Now, for those of you that may be unfamiliar with older iterations of Zombies, there was a time where you did not get to choose the weapon that you started with, and you did start with a random pistol. Sometimes it varied based on the map that you were diving into, and you were forced to utilize the wall buys and the mystery box to get access to any other weapons that you might want. This also included being able to resupply ammo. If it was a wall buy, you were able to resupply ammo. If it wasn't a wall buy, you either had to get a max ammo or continue hitting the box, which added a lot more value to not only those wall buys, but the mystery box as well. Now, one thing I do want to say before we dive too far into this, if you guys are new to my channel, I do tons of different challenges. I make things way more difficult for myself within Black Ops 6 than it's ever been necessary. And I also start with pistols. I mean, I've done a wide plethora of different challenges. So even though I'm going to have the opinion that I'm going to have, I don't want anybody attacking me per se in the comments saying, oh, the only way you feel this way is because of your skill level. I feel the way that I do because I like to look at the game as a big picture. I want people to have fun. I think the whole idea of Black Ops 6 Zombies and just zombies in general is that people enjoy the experience, have fun along the way. And honestly, I don't think that choosing a weapon per se, like a loadout, really takes away from too much. Now, the big argument was starting with the pistol as your main thing to deal with and then having to upgrade from there. The fact that it makes the earlier round significantly more difficult. Now, one thing that has changed too, I don't want to dive too far into it though, is the classic point system was a little bit different. So starting with a pistol back then actually had some more advantages to it than it does now. Because now, the only thing that really matters is the final blow. Do we get a headshot or do we not? And that dictates the points that we get. But outside of that, all the other bullets that it takes to eliminate are just kind of wasted to some degree, right? Like, if we could kill them in one hit, it would technically be better, and we'd waste a lot less ammo. Now, the other main thing that people argue is exactly what we've already talked about. It's the wall buys and the mystery box. Now, when you start with a weapon of your choice, likely you're going to choose the thing that sets you up most for success, unless you're like me and like to put yourself through the blender of challenges. And when you set yourself up for success, it obviously makes the early rounds easier, and you are less likely to use those wall buys and mystery box unless you are somebody that does utilize two weapons pretty often throughout this game. I think that more than likely, if you're like me, you probably just choose the main weapon that you're focused on, and then you don't really do much else besides swap to your fists and run around, and you just utilize the one weapon. A huge change to the game in general, though, has always been the ammo caches. Another thing I don't want to dive too far into, but realistically, you could have a loadout weapon, choose the weapon that you would like to start with. If you didn't have access to being able to buy ammo, if it wasn't a wall buy or not a mystery box, if it wasn't a wall buy, then you wouldn't be able to just purchase the ammo, and then you would be influenced to hit the mystery box or get a wall buy weapon to help you, maintain your ammo, because then you would only be able to get more ammo whenever you got max ammo for that loadout. Now, that would be a massive change that I think would help people feel a little bit better about the loadout system that we have, but I think that kind of helps us understand that the issue is that people not only think the earlier rounds are too easy when you have access to the weapon of your choice, you are also less likely to utilize the things around the map, which devalues some of the core elements that have been a part of Zombies for quite some time. Another thing, too, I don't want to forget to mention is with a pistol like the 9mm PM, obviously they've done some buffs and changes, but if you go back to the launch version of this pistol, it was actually pretty terrible. And it's going to fall off pretty quickly, especially if we don't manage to get any upgrades through the arsenal or anything like that. So the damage fall off happens pretty quick for this. Whereas if I was using something like a fully equipped AMAX, I would be able to go quite a bit more rounds, build up quite a bit more points, struggle quite a bit less, and then still be able to open up a bunch of doors because I have all the extra points, maybe make my way all the way to pack-a-punch that weapon. Essentially, I'm utilizing a lot less points in the earlier rounds because I'm able to push further without a struggle. Now, obviously, skill level does come sort of into play with this. Like someone like me, who's maybe done a lot more challenges, is a little bit more experienced with utilizing the things that the average player may not, might be able to go a lot further with something like a pistol than the average person, but At the end of the day, I'm still going to have to at some point upgrade this thing or make a choice on what weapon I would like to get. And again, I am starting out without any attachments on this pistol, which is something that we aren't limited to within this game, which leads me to my next thing, the zombie builds. And I'm really hoping that this video sparks a lot of, conversations in the comment section, but hopefully we can keep it all civil. And reality is, even if you don't agree with my takes, I can agree to disagree with you guys as well, because I know that we're not going to all see eye to eye on this. And I know that some people are more likely to look at what experience they want to see than the experience they want everyone to have, right? But yes, let's go ahead and dive into zombie builds. Now, this is where it gets kind of interesting. In older iterations of zombies, I'm pretty sure that all the attachments were randomized through the box, through the wall buys. I'm not 100% certain on that. I don't know if there was like a set version of the weapon, like a blueprint, you could say, that was on the wall and every time you bought it. I just don't recall if that was the case. I'm pretty sure that the attachments were all randomized in older iterations of zombies, but essentially what I'm getting at is now we have full control over our weapons with the zombie build. So let's say, for example, you don't actually have a loadout available to you in this game. I can set up a zombie build once I've leveled up my weapons or earned enough, experience to get far enough to get the attachments that I would like. I can set up the build, no matter the weapon type, good or bad, or whatever the weapon's ranking is, and I will be able to set that thing up best for success. So if I go over to this wall buy here, I could technically purchase one of the best guns in the game. It's already an upgraded rarity, and it'll have all the attachments and stuff that I put on it, which in a sense is still a loadout. Like our current system with zombie builds, every weapon in the game is a loadout to some degree. And that's kind of the thing that I think is the most interesting about this starting pistol versus loadout argument, besides the fact that you have full autonomy over what you choose, right? Like if you want to start with a starting pistol and everybody else doesn't have to, you can do that. But nobody really enjoys the idea of having to do something by choice when nobody else has to do so. Go ahead and hit this mystery box here. This is going to kind of further prove my point. And now there's other issues that people have if they have an issue with the loadout system. Oh, what did we get? We got a bow staff. That's kind of funny, actually. We're not going to be able to... Oh, we can one hit. I don't know why we can one hit still, but we can. But that is another thing that some people will have an issue with, is the fact that I can hit the box and there's a possibility to get any rarity higher than what I already have. It's likely that the weapon's going to be upgraded anyways. Like, even though I don't get to choose the weapon, it's more upgraded than the loadout weapon I started with. Like, here we go. KSV. That's exactly my point. Now I have my full loadout weapon. If I wanted to start with the KSV, I could have obviously done that, but I still have my exact same loadout, and it only cost me, I guess, 2 box hits, so 1,900 essence total. And now I have a top-tier weapon that I could rely on. Obviously, what you get through the box is random, but it just kind of goes into my point where we are now facing every weapon in this is a loadout weapon. Obviously, when the game comes out, it's always different because people have to level stuff up. They don't have access to everything. But once you get far enough into the game, I mean, my point kind of just stands, right? Like, there's no point in taking loadouts out of a game if the game has the zombie builds when you can just do exactly what I'm showcasing here. Started out with a pistol, earned just enough points, went in. Like, could you say it was a little slower? Probably, but I'm also doing this video without a rampage inducer, which I normally would run. And even with the limited essence, I would make my way in here, grab this mystery box weapon, and be able to utilize it for however many rounds going forward to build up my points. Another thing I do want to say, too, that's kind of interesting about the way the game's designed is, obviously, to some extent, I'm limited in my essence, but let's just say I get a weapon like this, and this isn't the weapon that I ideally want. I now have full autonomy over using this weapon. I get to utilize it as long as I want. I can upgrade it. I can choose to pack-a-punch it multiple times, and I can also build up enough points to make sure I get all the perks that I want. But the other element to that is I can continue to hit the box throughout the entire journey, awaiting the weapon that I truly desire. And it's going to have the full set of attachments that I want. It's going to be fully decked out. Like, reality is, I don't think enough of the weapons in this game are terrible enough to set you back where you wouldn't be able to basically at some point get the best thing that you would like, the best setup you would like, all the perks, whatever weapon through the box. Obviously, RNG is a part of the box. The other part is, too, if there's powerful weapons on the wall buy, you're just going to buy the powerful weapon on the wall buy with your loadout and be in the exact same position you are with choosing your weapon. I think the reality is that people think that if you start with a pistol, more players would fail to get to a certain point in the game, and then the better players would be a little bit more obvious. Whereas in this game, I think there's a lot of belief that anyone can survive to round 50, or anyone can do this, or anyone can complete the Easter eggs, when in reality, there are tons of players, and there's nothing against it. struggling to complete a lot of the things, struggling to survive to those longer rounds, even with the current systems in place. Now, one of the things I like to bring up when I talk about old systems versus new systems or things that maybe people want to see changed is it going to make the game more fun? Reality is, I think limiting people to pistols only, forcing them into a gameplay loop that they maybe don't enjoy as much, isn't necessarily going to make the game more fun. And to be completely honest, in the current state that the game is in, you have way more freedom over the experience that you have than you ever did in older iterations of zombies, in my opinion, by being able to choose the weapon that you want. I want to do a pistol only run. I start out with the pistol. I can choose the attachments or not. I go in with it. I could do the entire run with that. I don't have to rely on the box, the wall buys, or anything like that to get that at an earlier round, and I can just have that experience tailored the way that I want to. If somebody struggles a bit in zombies, wants to try the best loadout in the game, to try to survive as long as possible, maybe hit an all-time high, and that's what keeps them excited and enjoying the game, I think they have the freedom to do that, and I like that they have the freedom to do that. I don't think there's ever really a good argument for having players of a certain skill level dictate how the rest of the people should enjoy the game, when, especially when the thing that they are complaining about is actually still a thing that they can do within the game. So back to the starting pistol thing right here. I have the pistol. If I wanted to do this entire run with this no attachment pistol, I have the freedom to do so. If you want to actually abide by classic zombies rules, technically the way the game's designed and the way that I've always done challenges, you have the ability to do so, right? You don't have to use a loadout necessarily. I mean, technically you still have to set one up, but you can easily set it up with whatever weapon that you desire, and it would pretty much, you know, be up to you at that point. Completely dictate how you want to play the game, which is exactly what I'm getting to. The freedom of this game, the freedom of having the choice of weapon, the ability to dictate the type of gameplay you want to play, gives a lot more replayability to the game in my experience too. I mean, some people would argue that having to play it around 20,000 times in order to get the weapon that you desire for your early on weapon is a better experience than being able to start with it and not having to rely on that RNG. Because, I mean, I look at it like this. 2-hour gameplay, somebody has 2 hours to play, they jump in, you know, they get a bunch of points, they're fighting against the RNG, they're constantly getting bad weapons, they end up going down around 22, whatever the case is, and then they go, you know what, well, that wasn't a very good run, I don't really have enough time to dive in again. Well, their entire run there is like kind of chalked, right? Their ability to play, how much time they have is kind of chalked. Whereas if they go, I'm going to get to play for 2 hours, I want to put in a nice solid run, they can always choose the weapon that'll allow them to play that amount of time they would like, or give them the best possible opportunity to survive that long. So I think the freedom of having the loadouts makes the game a lot better. I think it doesn't dictate the way people should play the game. I think if you want to play by the old set of rules, it's perfectly fine, and you have the ability to do so. And the reality is you're not, you know what I mean? You're not forcing other people to follow that. I think that the loadouts have genuinely made the game a lot more fun for more people than they've harmed. And I think even though there is camos and things like that for people to go for, I don't think it's just because Warzone people want to unlock camos. At the end of the day, I think that this has just provided a much better and more universal, improved casual experience. And that's why we're seeing this be the direction that the game has gone in. Now, I'm not going to play the entire game. Obviously, for the most part, I haven't been eliminating too many zombies or going too crazy. I mean, the reality is I just wanted to jump in with the pistol, show the early rounds, which is what matters the most to people that normally have this argument. Show that you can just go hit the box. I mean, maybe zombie builds are something those people would like removed as well. I don't really know where everyone stands. I just know that it's a very hot take in the zombies community to actually like loadouts. And I wanted to put out a video where I not only discussed the positives to it, but I just wanted to talk about why I advocate for them to be in the game and why we should dictate that we are allowed to have more freedom. Like, I think a more free experience is not only better for everyone, it makes the game more accessible to more players, allowing them to put more time, energy, and resources into it, hopefully in future iterations of the game. And even if you don't agree with the direction they're going in, I mean, I think that you can agree that they pretty much have nailed the casualizing of the zombies experience. We do have directed mode, which means I think that they could go in a little bit tougher direction as far as the main quests are concerned. But I do think that they've nailed it as far as some of the boss fights have been. The Z-Rex, you know, Patient 13, and despite people not maybe liking it, the Guardian's pretty tough for a majority of players as well. Could the steps be a little harder? Absolutely. Could there be a few more extra steps? Probably. But at the end of the day, I think they've done a really good job balancing this game for not only the more dedicated players, but also the newer players as well. But reality is, I think loadouts are perfectly fine within the Black Ops 6, Black Ops 7, modern zombies era. I think that in order to remove them, it wouldn't really add a lot of benefits to the game besides just forcing people to go and hit the mystery box in the wall buy, when in reality you could do that at your own free will anyways. But that's going to wrap things up for us here. Let me know down in the comment section below if you guys agreed with what I had to say in this video, if you guys disagreed, and maybe a couple reasons why that is. But thank you guys for all the support in today's video, all supporting the channel, and I look forward to seeing y'all in the next one. Peace!